Metroid is a series I hold close to my heart, but I've honestly felt it deserves way more attention than it actually gets. People talk all the time about how Metroidvanias are such a classic genre now, and how about Metroid's good gameplay-wise, but it's not too often you hear the other half of the equation that gets talked about, the story. You might be saying, what story? Oh, well, I guess that's just the beginning to end basics, and I guess you can scan a bunch of optional stuff in the Prime games, right? Well, that's not really anything too big, right? Oh, you confused child. Take a look at the runtime of this video. Take a look at that part 1 right there. Buckle up. I honestly want to thank Thunderstrike here, not just for this kick-ass comment, but for direct motivation to kickstart this series up. It's a little late, and Metroid Dread is released and I've beaten it, but you know what they say, better late than never. So, what is this series? Well, I'm going to be tackling the entire pantheon of the Metroid chronology, and giving it to you as straightforward in a manner as I can possible. Now, I understand that my narration may be a little strange compared to Ben Drowned Explained or I, the Somnium Files Explained. I did post an update video on this subject, but just in case that video wasn't seen, I just recently got done with oral surgery, and for the time being, I'm kind of recovering and getting used to talking again, so I figure, I might as well get back into the swing of things. I've spent enough time kind of waiting to get back to explain content. So if that's fine with you, let's get on going. So, beginning of the video. You think we're going to start with a story summary of the original Metroid? Maybe we'll be a little spicy and cover Zero Mission instead. What, you think that's the beginning of this story? No, my friend. We're starting with the Chozo. The Chozo are the beginning to many of the threads in Metroid's chronology, but you experience so little of their actual culture in the games, because 99% of the time, they're actually extinct, and Samus, our heroine, exists as the sole remnant of their ideologies and DNA. What does that mean specifically? Well, we'll get into that in a bit. First and foremost, though, are the Chozo themselves. They're a race of bird-like humanoids that are legendarily known for their vast knowledge on many topics. A word to describe them in equal measure would be sagely. They've existed for thousands of years, prior to the beginning of the Metroid story, and have lived across many different planets and star systems. They even before these periods were known as proud warrior people, who boasted fine strength and innate gifts for combat. But with their long lifespans, almost all of the Chozo have decided to remain pacifists in search of higher knowledge and assisting other cultures progressing as they had. Notice how I said almost all of the Chozo. We'll get to that eventually. The planet Zibis was home to one of the many Chozo civilizations on planets across the universe. When the Chozo realized they were dying out, they became key advisors to the still young Galactic Federation. Hoping that the Federation would achieve the Chozo's dream of bringing true peace to the universe, they built the AI Mother Brain. The goals of bringing order to the universe, and had to help fight the X-Parasites via the creation of the Metroids. When the neighboring planet K2L was attacked by pirates, the Chozo of Zebes found one girl amongst the ruins. The girl, aged 3 to 5, was a young Samus Aran. She was brought to Zebes, infused with Chozo DNA, and given the power suit, and trained until she was ready to join the Federation police. After Samus left, Mother Brain betrayed the Chozo and called in the space pirates. She calculated that the best way to bring order to the universe was to pit the space pirates and the Federation against each other and reset the universe to zero. The space pirates invaded Jigrad to distract the Federation, and used the space pirate flagship to disable Zebes' planetary protection shield, the micro black hole. The peaceful Chozo either surrendered or fled with the first Metroid specimen. This was the first time the space pirates had ever encountered a Metroid. Samus was given a 48-hour window to infiltrate Zebes before the Federation fleet was going to arrive. She traveled to Zebes with Kreets and Commander Mog, and discovered the Space Pirates' presence and Mother Brain's betrayal. Having the element of surprise on their side, Samus and her team managed to rescue most of the Chozo prisoners. However, one Chozo, Grey Voice, gave his life trying to destroy Mother Brain. This allowed Samus, Kreets, Malk, and the Chozo prisoners enough time to escape Zebes. The research vessel Marina, under attack, led to the Space Pirates acquiring the Metroid. The Federation fleets eventually arrived and promptly performed an orbital bombardment of Zebes. However, hidden deep in Turian, this did not stop the pirates or their leader. For many years, the Space Pirates, under the leadership of Mother Brain, fought the Federation with renewed fervor. Meanwhile, Mother Brain used the ecosystem of Zebes to turn the planet into her own personal fortress. In the year 20x5, in the cosmic calendar, the Space Pirates attacked the space research vessel Marina and seized capsules containing samples of a species unknown to the Federation that had been discovered on the planet SR-388. The Space Pirates' objective was to acquire these floating organisms, which were incredibly dangerous, as they could latch onto any other organism and drain them of their energy. Furthermore, it was possible to replicate them in vast numbers in just 24 hours by exposing them to beta radiation. The hypothesis that the creatures were responsible for one of the greatest mysteries of the entire galaxy, the extinction of all life on planet SR-388, was generally accepted as fact. Its name was Metroid. The Space Pirates were breeding Metroids and began using them as biological weapons, which tipped the balance of the power in their favor. But danger arose as the pirates were unbeknowingly losing control of the Metroids. It was at this time that the Federation attempted to launch a full-scale assault on the planet Zebes, but the pirate resistance was strong, forcing the Federation to retreat. Meanwhile, deep within the center of the pirate fortress, the preparations for multiplying more Metroids was steadily progressing. As a last resort, the police decided to send a lone bounty hunter to penetrate the pirate base, eradicate all Metroids, and destroy Mother Brain. The hunter chosen for such a great task was Samus Aran, considered by many to be the greatest of all bounty hunters. Samus had successfully completed numerous missions that others had thought impossible, making her an excellent candidate. Ridley's flagship, known as the Space Pirate Mothership, carried out hit-and-run Metroid attacks on Federation bases. The ship was detected by Commander Mog, and coordinates were sent back to Galactic Federation headquarters. A large battle between Federation forces, including Adam Malkovich commanding the Federation Army Special Ops battleship, and Space Pirates commenced. When Samus' presence on Zebes was detected, Ridley's flagship escaped the battle to reinforce Zebes. It is known that during Samus' Zero mission, the Space Pirates were also attacking Mok's home planet, Jamaru. Mok and Kreets made a two-man stand against the Space Pirates here. Samus eventually landed on the surface of Zebes and began exploring the planet. The bounty hunter destroyed Ridley's comrade, Kraid, attracting the attention of Ridley himself to Zebes. When his flagship landed on the planet, Samus engaged in a fierce duel with her arch-nemesis until he too was defeated. After traversing across all the various caverns and regions of the planet, Samus finally found and destroyed Mother Brain and the Metroids, the latter of which massacred the Zebesian forces on Turian. However, upon leaving the planet after her successful mission, space pirate vessels attacked her gunship. She crash-landed on Zebes near the Space Pirate Mothership. She survived, but her gunship and even her power suit were destroyed in the explosion, leaving her virtually defenseless in a blue form-fitting suit and a taser dubbed the Paralyzer. While searching the mothership for a way to escape, Samus discovered the nearby ruins of an ancient Chozo temple known as Chozodia. There, she passed the ruins test and gained the legendary power suit, which forevermore became her signature attire. With her armor restored and further enhanced, Samus stormed the mothership, leaving behind many dead pirates. She encountered the Ridley robot, a mechanized form of Ridley that had taken command of the ship during Ridley's absence. Upon destroying it, Samus was able to successfully escape the planet and the self-destructing mothership using one of the escape ships. Due to the destruction of Turian and the Mothership, it was thought that all of the space pirates' research on Metroid were destroyed. However, 3 research frigates, Orpheon, Syricus, and Valparaigon were in orbit of Zebes at the time of its fall, and managed to retreat. The Orpheon went to nearby planet Talon 4 and docked at the Vortex Outpost, where cybernetic augmentation of Ridley was completed. The Orpheon was also performed further Metroid research, including the Metroid's reaction to Phazon. Meanwhile, back on Zebes, the Federation was quick to occupy the planet, following the elimination of the pirates inhabiting it. Roughly 200 researchers came to study Zebes for its earthic ore and Chobza ruins. During the time following Samus' Zero mission, the space pirates stopped being such a prevalent opposing force. Samus was surprised to see the space pirates again 3 years later, when investigating a distress beacon from the Orpheon. However, the following years would see a rise in pirate activity due to a desire for more Phazon and new leadership. Eventually, the space pirates would build up their forces on Zebes again, including remaking Mother Brain and Kraid. The timeline from this point on is going to lead into the Metroid Prime series of games, which offer a contradictory amount of years taking place between them and the non-Prime games, so for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to comment on the exact passage of time in reference to specific years, as there are too many differences to actually make a solid timeline out of. So we'll just go generally this took place after this. Shortly after the defeat of Mother Brain and Samus' exploits on Zebes, rumors reached Samus of a space pirate frigate that escaped her assault on Zebes. She tracks the ship, dubbed Orpheon, to the orbit planet named Talon 4. The space pirates, through scanned research logs, denote Talon 4 to be a Wanderer-class planet, meaning that it's rich with life and teeming with various ecosystems. This is opposed to another planet we'll be talking about soon from this game's sequel, Ether, dubbed a rogue planet, or a planet that which does not orbit a star. Samus, curious of the motivations behind the space pirates aboard the Orpheon, decides to investigate for herself. She docks her gunship and finds that all is not as she expected. As she combs through the depths of the frigate, most of the space pirates are either dead or on their deathbed. However, Samus is able to decode some of the space pirate logs to find that the Orpheon is not the only ship to make it off the Zebes.
Zebes has fallen. All ground personnel are presumed dead, either killed by the hunter clad in metal or the subsequent destruction of the underground facilities. Our research frigates Orpheon, Syricus, and Valparaigon were in orbit at 0 hour and managed to retreat. Frigate Orpheon is now docked at Vortex Outpost. Orpheon's cargo appears to have a 100% survival rate. Metroids are healthy, but on restricted feeding schedules due to uncertain supply status. We are ready to begin research on the Metroids and other promising life forms. Security status remains at Code Blue. No signs of pursuit for the Hunter.
So, parsing details from this log entry, the space pirates weren't the only life forms on board the frigate escaping from Zebes. They had Metroids that were used as specimens for genetic testing, as well as promising life forms. The remains of these life forms can be seen as Samus explores through the research lab. They are creatures pulled from Talon 4, meaning the space pirates at some point before Samus' arrival made contact on the planet. As she continues through the frigate, she finds that all the escape pods have been ejected as long as 6 hours prior to Samus' arrival, meaning that those space pirates' bodies she finds are the remains of those that couldn't escape whatever happened on board the ship. Not long after, she discovers a partial explanation for the dead space pirates, a being known as the Parasite Queen, dead on the floor, and the evidence of a harsh battle strewn all over the room. Scanning more logs reveal the dire situation of the space pirates. Their reports confirm that 2 of the 4 test subjects have broken out of their containment chambers. One of such is the corpse Samus encounters on the ground. But suddenly, the realization comes that she has not yet found the supposed second escaped specimen. The ship's propulsion systems are malfunctioning, and Samus only has a few minutes to return to her ship before the ship crashes onto the surface of Talon 4. On the way out, she comes across a sight she couldn't have ever expected: a cybernetically enhanced Ridley, connected to the ship via power cables. Upon recognizing Samus, the dragon takes flight and escapes the Orpheon, headed toward Talon 4. Samus continues her escape through the ship's ventilation shafts, but along the way, an explosion slams her into a wall, badly damaging her suit and restricting her abilities. She makes it to her ship and pursues Ridley, but unfortunately loses his tracks. Ground survival of the planet is necessary to gather information. She lands in the Talon overworld, a vast, verdant marsh that's home to many lakes and aquatic creatures. Investigating further, she finds an access elevator to the ruins of the city that used to be inhabited by the Chozo. Across the planet, Chozo have left records of their time on Talon 4 that detail the past of the planet and the reason for their disappearance. In order to keep things organized, I'm going to detail the Chozo lore in one contained section right here. You can go to this timestamp to continue forward in exploring the Chozo ruins.
Beginnings. Our sanctuary grows by the day. We Chozo know much of technology, but we have chosen to leave it behind on this journey. Our home here on Talon 4 will be a place of simplicity. Structures hewn from the stone, bridges woven with branches, hallways caressed by pure waters. We build around the ancient and noble trees, drawing from their strength and giving them our own in return. All that is wild will flow around us here. Our race will be one more group of creatures in the knit of nature. It is our hope that such a state will bring with it greater wisdom, a greater understanding of the nature of the universe. Once our city here is complete, we will peer inward and discover the truth. Fountain. At the highest point of our city lies the fountain, a wellspring of pure water that flows throughout our civilization. It is the jewel of the Chozo, the life-giver, and yet its waters speak of a clouded future. As we come to understand the paths of time and space more clearly, we've begun to glimpse rough tatters of past and future. These glimpses pouring in darkness instead of water, and we cannot guess what the visions mean. Statuary. As we have done for millennia, we Chozo work constantly on our statuary. The statues are our sentinels, blind but ever watchful. They are and have always been repositories for our most precious secrets and strongest powers. The crafting of each is a long and sacred process, performed only by those Chozo who have lifetimes of experience in such things. We have left these relics on planets across the solar system. Some are merely reminders, silent emblems of the Chozo that serve as icons of peace in lands that know only war. Others wield subtle strength, exerting their influence in ways beyond the understanding of mortal creatures. Still others are guardians of our secret ways. These can be as terrible as they are beautiful. Those who respect and honor these relics will know friendship of the Chozo. Those who deface or destroy them will know our wrath, unfettered and raw. Exodus. We Chozo are departing now, after so many years in peaceful seclusion here on Talon 4. When we came, this place was a refuge for our spirits, a civilization built from native materials, bereft of the trappings of our technology. We were linked to the land here, kindred to the plants and the animals, far away from the machines we had become so dependent on. And so we leave it now, pristine, a testament to the mortal forms we no longer need. We've drawn the veils of time and space aside, and are withdrawn beyond the illusion. But we will never forget this, the most sacred of our homes, and we will remain ever watchful. Meteor Strike. We have returned to Talon 4, born here against our will, by a great cataclysm from the reaches of space. A meteor came, casting a dark shadow of debris over the land with the violence of its impact. Though we perceived this from beyond space and time, it was but a curiosity, a brief flare in the universe. But the meteor brought with it corruption. A great poison burst forth into the land, clawing at life with such violence that we were ripped from our peaceful state and find ourselves wandering as shadows of the mortal forms we left behind, searching for why we are here. Contain. The world of living things feels strange to us, we who existed so long on the edges of time and space. It is clear now that we Chozo can never return to our dimension. Not while the great poison reaches ever further into the planet. It is so powerful, this creeping evil, that our wills are crumbling and our minds beginning to fail. And so, before it is too late, we now make our last stand. We have begun to build a temple to contain the darkness. At its heart we will place a cipher, a mystical lock powered by 12 artifacts, filled with much as power as we Chozo can harness in our ethereal states. Even when we are done, it may be too late. Cradle. The cries of this dying land pulled us from our dreaming state, and now we Chozo walk as ghosts while the great poison sinks into the trees and waters, devouring all life. Some creatures survive, but their forms grow as twisted and evil as the force that fell from the sky. The heart of the planet will succumb soon, and so will we, even in our ghostly states. Already many Chozo have faded and passed into the unknown. The great poison is unlike anything we have glimpsed in this or any dimension. It eats relentlessly, worming out life whatever blooms, and corrupting what it cannot kill. And it will be our undoing. Our last hope lies in the cradle, the temple we hope might contain this abomination. It is almost complete, hovering over the impact site, the dark heart of the spreading evil. If we can finish before the last of our kind drifts into madness or death, there is a chance for this world. If we fail, we are doomed with it. Hatchling. As we struggle with the great poison, something stirs at the edges of our vision. It is the hatchling Samus. We feel her across the void as she hunts the corrupted. Will our fates again be one? As our pride shatters, will prophecy become real? When all strength wanes from the Chozo, will it be the hatchling who fulfills our legacy? True sight eludes us, for the poison gnaws at all vision, leaving seers blind and filled with despair. Truth's blessing may come too late. The Turned. Many Chozo have gone beyond now, and this is a mercy. Those of us who remain suffer in dimensional flux, drifting helplessly across time and space, guided by unseen and inexorable currents. The Chozo who cling to sanity fight the tide, but our minds are weakening. Soon we will all be like the Turned, Chozo who have been corrupted by the great poison. The Turned still hold to their Chozo forms, but their minds are black with fell intentions. Gone is their respect for life. They honor only destruction, and seek to disrupt the artifacts holding the great poison at bay. All life taunts them, and they do not rest. Before long, they will be all that remains of the Chozo here. Cipher. None know if our temple, the Cradle, will prove powerful enough to contain this evil forever. How can we Chozo hope for it to remain intact when that which it guards rides in the darkness, growing always stronger? The fate of this world rests with the gathering of artifacts we call Cipher, but even it's not all powerful. It is strong, yes, an enchanted hold made of 12 links. Still, it is finite in its reach, and we who guard it are slowly succumbing. When our vigilance crumbles away into madness, the cipher will be exposed and the fate of Talon 4 will be beyond our influence. Newborn. The power of our temple has been enough to halt the spread of the poison on Talon 4, but that which remains thrives and grows more concentrated, gnawing on itself in the dark passages beneath the planet's surface. Whether it can ever be truly destroyed is not for our eyes to see, but there is something else. We Chozo are drifting, tumbling through space and time's great poison eats away at our sanity. We wake in dreams, as the veil of lunacy descends, as past and future blend and shuffle. One image appears and flickers through the landscape, wraith-like. It is the hatchling, the newborn, walking the path of corruption. A lone figure shining in the toxic shadows. She comes dressed for war, and her wrath is terrible. Do our eyes look backward, seeing the hatchling as she once was? Or does she approach even now, arriving in our race's last hour, a savior clothed in machines crafted long ago by Chozo hands? Poisonous clouds drift across our vision. Infestation. A second plague has come upon the land, dousing the last flickering hopes of our race. Drawn by the very force we Chozo hope to contain, a host of marauding creatures descended from space and invaded our temple, the Cradle. They try in vain to destroy it, but its power remains beyond them for now. They possess some of the 12 artifacts we call the Cipher, yet do not comprehend their function. Ignorant creatures. They are blinded by delusions of harnessing the great poison for their own designs. They walk as masters of the planet, assimilating the ruins of our sanctuary into their experiments. We can but watch and wait for our doom. Binding. The congregation of artifacts that hold the great poison at bay still holds strong. Fearful of the potential within the artifact temple, the invaders known as space pirates tried to destroy it, only to fail in every attempt. We scattered the artifacts across the planet for their protection, and only a few have fallen into invader hands. Failing to understand them, they now seek to unmake them. Again, they fail. They are right to fear those things. Great power slips inside them. Prophecy calls for their union. Come the day the unholy worm is met by the great defender. We can only hope the artifacts are not destroyed by the invader, for then all will be lost. So, we do what we can to preserve the artifacts, and to guide the newborn to them. Time wanes with our souls, yet hope remains. Hatchling Shell. The hatchling walks among us. Are these dreams? Memories? Foretellings? Time and reality swirl together like estuary waters, and we Chozo know not what to believe. She appears as ghost-like as the Chozo, but at times the mists clear. We see her wounded eyes and remember the child we found so long ago. What has she become, this newborn? Clad in Chozo armor, wielding weapons our hands once held, does she dream of the Chozo as we once were? Does she long for her parents, lost to the same creatures that even now defile our sacred home? Does she still live? Hope. More and more, our tormented minds turn to the newborn. As the world continues to shift into brutal, disconnected images, she remains inarguably real. A fearless figure delving deeper into this blighted world, unmindful of the terrors that await her. Was she this way before? When we Chozo found her, a fledgling orphan on a savage planet, did a warrior's pulse already beat in her veins? Filling her with a righteous fury? Our hopes lie with her. We leave these messages for her, that she may find our artifacts and deliver the world from its evils. Wraiths we may be, but our reach is still long indeed. We shall fight these invaders, and the poison they would master until the end. Artifacts. 12 artifacts were forged by the master artisan and placed in sacred places on the planet. They are not mere relics. Each artifact is imbued with the essence of an element that we Chozo hold dear. On their own, they possess no small amount of energy, but when brought together, their true power is revealed. When the time comes that the artifacts are gathered, they will lead the entrusted one to the rifling heart of the great poison.
So, to summarize, the Chozo arrived on Talon 4 to start a new civilization from the previous homeworld that was so full of technology. That homeworld would be later developed in the final game of this trilogy, dubbed Elysia. They aim for a society built closer to the nature of the world, and so they find solace on Talon 4, and construct a city from where they can coexist with the inhabitants of the planet. After a period of time, they were ready to move on, but were bound to the planet once a meteor struck on the surface of the planet dubbed the Worm. From the meteor, a great poison started to infect the land, pretty much consuming the planet as a whole, with the exception being the Chozo city. The Chozo foresaw a great doom coming from the poison, heretofore called Phazon, but they also saw hope in visions of the hatchling, also known as Samus, arriving on the planet to rid the poison. Unfortunately, Samus was not the only visitor, as they also foresaw the arrival of the space pirates, and so to prevent both the spread of the Phazon and also the space pirates' access to the impact site, the Chozo sealed the crater off using the use of 12 keys, dubbed the Chozo Artifacts, created by a Chozo known as the Master Artisan. It is Samus' job to reclaim her Chozo legacy, and unlock the seal and rid Talon 4 of its toxic energy. Starting off, she notices that some of the toxins have been spread by a humongous plant named Flagra, and it's mutated because of the nearby Phazon. After killing the creature, the spring water is restored. After, she senses a nearby space pirate activity in the Magmoor Caverns, and finds that they're harvesting geothermal energy for unknown purposes. She manages to infiltrate the pirate research base in the Fendron Drifts, just on the other side of the caverns. She's as of yet been an unknown force of the space pirates who remained on the surface of the planet, so their defensive forces in the drifts are meager, to say the least. Samus discovers that they're testing injections of Phazon into the wildlife and other Metroid samples that survived the fall of the Orpheon. Through the ordeal, she cleans up house and takes on another one of the Phazon experiments, Tardis. Dubbed Project Titan, the creature was an experiment to see if the space pirates could induce sentience into inanimate objects through the use of Phazon, and in this case, the objects were telluric rocks. After taking care of Tardis, Samus backtracks to the Talon overworld. On her way through the Chozo ruins, she discovers the remnant spirits of the Chozo kept trapped in a state of dimensional flux, dubbed Chozo ghosts. Their minds are lost to violent insanity and crave only destruction. After fending off the ghosts of her past, Samus is able to navigate to the ruined crash site of the frigate Orpheon near the Talon overworld. Through the wrecked ship, Samus is able to make contact with the space pirate's Phazon mines. Here she finds the crux of the space pirate activity, and unlike her exploits in Frendrana, the space pirates are acutely aware and prepared for her presence. Here, Samus finds the result of the Phazon experiments in elite space pirates, selectively engineered space pirates infused with Phazon. This project, dubbed Project Helix, was the end goal of the space pirate research into Phazon. They tested how other creatures reacted to the Phazon, and a sect named Team Sclera made a breakthrough in the research and development with space pirate test subjects. A Phazon strain code, named Vertigo, was said to be successful mutagens with space pirate DNA. Their increased physical resistances and increased capacity for gunner warfare was touted as the key solution for any weaknesses that their slower speed would have accounted for. At the depths of the Phazon mines, Samus discovers the apex of Project Helix, Elite Pirate Upsilon, otherwise known as the Omega Pirate. She battles the berserk creature and comes out victorious, although the corpse of the behemoth falls on her after it's killed. It begins to break apart and is reduced to the core Phazon inside, coding and infecting Samus' systems. She comes out okay, but her suit is now imbued with the Phazon, and is thus now immune to the hazardous effects of blue Phazon. Also, Samus now has access to the Phazon Beam, a concentrated force of Phazon energy that is one of the most deadly in her arsenal. Interesting side tangent, if the player were to hack the Phazon Beam at the beginning of the game, in the fight against the Parasite Queen, she'll die in one shot, as her systems are nearly overloaded with Phazon, so by charging her with more, it becomes too much. Neat, huh? Now, back to Samus and the Phazon mines, we learn of a very important threat, an unknown creature that's been imbued with Phazon in much the same way the Omega Pirate has. Research notes from the space pirates detail the progress.
Log 10.444.4. Initial transfer of Metroids to Talon 4 research facilities has been completed. 3 were terminated in an incident in the landing site, but the others were pacified and transported safely. Initial phazon transfusion underway. We are eager to observe the effects of phazon on Metroids, especially their ability to absorb and process the energy given off by phazon sources. Early research suggests a considerable growth in power and size. Whether the creatures will stay stable thereafter remains to be seen. Log 11.156.9 Investigations into a possible ingress point for the impact crater continue to meet with failure. The shield of strange energy that protects it is impermeable, and all attempts to tunnel past it have proved fruitless. Our continued futility in this matter is made all the more significant in light of the recent lifeform readings we discovered emanating from deep within the crater. Analysis of the readings indicates that a massive creature is gestating there, absorbing enormous amounts of phazon from the phazon core at the heart of the impact crater. This discovery makes access in the crater doubly important. Not only will it open the door to the vast deposits of phazon within, but it will also lead us to this creature, whatever it may be. Log 11.377.1 Analysis continues on these accursed ruins and the Chozo temple that hovers near them. We are now completely certain that the containment field denying us access to the impact crater is linked to the strange artifacts that belong in the temple, but we are no closer to finding them or deciphering the riddles that seem to cover every wall of this ruined place. Command grows increasingly anxious for a resolution to this matter, so we must redouble our efforts. X-ray squadrons will begin terrain sweeps within days. Until they begin, patrols are instructed to report any and all architectural anomalies to their commanders. Log 11.402.5 We have come to another dead end. It is clear now that we will never discover the location of Chozo artifacts until we can discover the messages carved into the statues of this abominable temple. Our language databases are woefully inadequate, and our linguistic analysis can come up with little more than vague theories. The best hypothesis we can offer is that finding the artifacts will require items spiritually linked to Chozo civilization. However, without these items we are lost, and Command grows more impatient by the day. Results must be produced soon. Log 11.420.7 Metroid dissection continues to produce more questions than answers. Our research teams have isolated the energy conduits that run from the invasive twin mandibles to the energy core in the creature's quadripartite nucleus. But the manner in which the Metroid actually extracts the life force from its prey remains an utter mystery. The victim does not lose blood or any other vital fluids, and yet the Metroid extracts energy. Identifying this energy is our central problem. It takes no physical form, and yet without it, the victim dies. We will continue to research this matter, as the isolation of this life-giving essence could be the key to our ascendance. Log 11.452.8 Although we are no closer to finding the artifacts of the Chozo, we have at least produced a viable hypothesis for their function. It appears that each of the artifacts corresponds to one of the statues on the temple platform, and that each one acts as a small key to a huge lock. Judging by the number of statues, we assume there must be 12 artifacts. Once we find the resting spots on all 12, we can bring them here, unite them with their statues, and open the gate system at long last. Once we do, the impact crater, and whatever creature it shelters, will be ours for the taking. Log 11.550.6 Studies of Metroid biology continue, though with limited progress. It seems likely that we will be much more successful using the Metroids for our means rather than trying to reproduce their powers. If they could be adequately tamed, we would have no need of proper understanding of their metabolism. A small force of disciplined Metroids could wipe out entire armies. Once we find a way to shield them from cold containment weapons, they will be invincible. Furthermore, if we could then harvest the energy they've consumed, we would have a near limitless source of power at our disposal.
Samus comes across the Chozo temple that the spare parts make mention of in their logs, finding that it's locked from her access as well, and finds that the phazon corrupting the planet is seeping out from this point. Realizing what she must do, Samus treks back across Talon Forward to reclaim the legacy of the Chozo by finding the 12 artifacts. She's able to claim each and every one, making her way back to the Chozo temple. Inside the impact crater, Samus comes across a host of genetically mutated Metroids, named fission Metroids. They are nearly invulnerable as they divide in a process similar to mitosis when they are combated, and their only weakness lies in the color of the membrane for specific weaponry. And it's here at the crater that Samus comes into contact with Red Phazon, a much more deadly variant that's located close to the core of the meteoroid. Deep in the center, she finds the mysterious creature that was giving off the powerful energy readings that the space pirates wrote about in their data files. A Metroid that had been so horrifically mutated by the Phazon, it has grown significantly, and adopted to look more like a large crab-like monster. Coupled with an extremely tough exoskeleton, most weaponry is useless against the Metroid Prime. Samus manages to overcome the first battle with the beast and sends it over a cliff. She gives chase, not wanting to give any opportunity to escape. She finds that the core of the creature has escaped the exoskeleton. By utilizing pools of blue Phazon, she's able to fire concentrated beams of Phazon into the creature's nucleus, until the final moment where the desperate and dying creature lunges out and grapples onto Samus' Phazon suit. The creature explodes and the core of the meteoroid goes critical, causing Samus to race to her gunship before becoming swallowed alive by the blast. Samus flies off the surface of Talon 4 with the knowledge that the collapse of the meteoroid, the Phazon presence of the planet was gone, and the planet can begin healing. But for more on that plot thread, we're going to have to wait until next time, where we tackle Metroid Prime Hunters and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. And if you like this video, just please check out some of my other content, as I'm sure you'll like that just as much. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'm very glad to be doing this explained content once again. Check you guys next time.